After 15 years of mortgage payments, I came home to a freedom party, my wife smiling with her new man. "We don't need you anymore," she announced. I left without a word. 3 weeks later, my sister called in panic. "What happened?" "Ryan's in the hospital and Laura's saying you're dangerous." I remember the way the sunlight hit the kitchen tiles that afternoon, like the universe had decided to make everything look just a little too beautiful, bright, quiet, warm. One of those soft spring days where the air smells like beginnings. It was a Friday, March 7th. We had just made the last payment on our mortgage the week before. 15 years, 2 jobs, 1 refinancing, and more nights of ramen than I'd like to admit, but we'd done it. The house was ours. I stopped on the porch for a second, groceries in hand, looking at the little crack above the doorframe I'd always meant to fix. Our kids had painted on the mailbox tiny sunflowers and smiley faces. I remember thinking, this is it. This is what all that grind was for. I walked inside and everything snapped. Balloons, cake, confetti. Our 2 kids, Ella and Max, were in the living room holding little paper party hats. There was music playing, some cheesy upbeat pop thing, and my wife Laura stood at the center of it all. Hair curled, wine glass in hand, smile bright and brittle, and next to her was a man I didn't recognize. She clinked her glass against his and shouted, "Surprise. We're leaving you." Then she laughed. Ella laughed too. Max didn't. He looked confused. One hand gripping the edge of the couch. I must have stood there for a full 5 seconds. Not moving. Not blinking. Laura tilted her head like she was expecting me to explode. "This is Ryan," she said, waving toward the stranger in our living room. "He's been staying over while you work late. You know, helping out around the house." Ryan raised his glass to me like we were old friends. I looked at the cake. It said, "Freedom in blue frosting." Laura stepped closer. "You worked so hard to get us this house and now we don't need you anymore. So, thanks." She actually smiled like this was a joke or a performance. She was waiting for a breakdown, for screaming, for drama. I didn't give her any of it. I walked into the kitchen slowly, set the grocery bags down on the counter, took out the orange juice, the bread, the rotisserie chicken Max always liked, placed them neatly in the fridge. I could feel her eyes on me. Ryan shifted uncomfortably. "Say something," she snapped. So I did. I turned, looked her right in the eye and said, "Do you want the keys now or later?" That wiped the smile right off her face. She blinked. "Excuse me." I pulled my house keys off my ring, set them on the counter. Wallet too. I took only the essentials. My phone, my license, a toothbrush from the downstairs guest drawer, and the old hoodie in the garage that still smelled like sawdust and engine oil. Then I walked to the door. Max ran up. "Dad?" I knelt, hugged him tight, looked him in the eye. "I love you. I'll see you soon." Ella didn't say anything. She just looked away. I nodded at Laura, then at Ryan, and then I left. No yelling, no slamming doors, no tears. I drove north, past the city, past the state line, found a cheap roadside motel and paid cash for a week. I turned off my phone. I didn't check social media. I didn't even cry. It wasn't numbness. It was peace. The kind that only comes when the last illusion finally cracks and you're free to stop pretending. I spent the first few nights just sleeping deep, dreamless sleep. I hadn't realized how long it had been since I felt that kind of quiet. By day 5, I found work helping out at a local auto shop run by an old vet who didn't ask questions. I told him I just left something behind. He nodded like he'd heard it 1,000 times. I sent a postcard to my kids. No return address. Just a simple note. "I'm safe. I love you. You'll understand someday." 3 weeks passed like that. Quiet, distant, real. Then my sister called screaming. "What the hell did you do?" I blinked. "Hello to you too." "No. Seriously, Michael. What did you do to them?" "Laura's freaking out. The kids are staying at mom's. Ryan's in the hospital and no one will tell me anything except that it all started with you disappearing." I sat down slowly on the edge of the motel bed. "What happened?" I asked. She hesitated. "They won't say, just that things have gotten weird. Cops were at the house yesterday. Mom says Ella won't talk. Max has been having nightmares and Laura's been going around saying you're dangerous, that she's scared of what you might do." I laughed. Couldn't help it. I walked away. "Sarah." That's all I did. She was quiet for a moment. "Then why is everyone acting like you lit a match and walked out of a burning building?" I looked out the window. The sunset spilled across the cracked parking lot like spilled gasoline. I don't know what's happening back home, but something tells me Laura's perfect little performance is falling apart without its villain. And me, I'm not the villain. I'm just the man who finally stopped playing his part. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm not staying where I'm not wanted. Edit 1 to everyone asking if I had any idea. Yeah. Looking back, I guess there were signs. Laura had been distant, kept talking about deserving more. Started posting filtered photos of the kids like she was a single mom influencer. I chalked it up to stress. Life gets hard, but I didn't think she'd nuke our whole life for a guy with hair plugs and a leased Tesla. Edit 2. Some folks asked why I didn't fight for custody immediately. Please understand, disappearing wasn't giving up. It was gathering myself. The court system rewards composure, not chaos. And now that she's unraveling, that's not my doing. That's just gravity. Edit 3. No. I haven't spoken to Ryan. But from what my sister heard, he's been trying to get out of something he didn't realize he signed up for. Apparently, Laura had him listed as a cohabiting partner in some insurance paperwork, and that paperwork's come back to bite him badly. The story isn't over, but the mask is slipping. And the people who clapped for her surprise party, they're starting to look around and wonder if maybe they clapped too soon. Update 1. It's been 11 days since my sister's call, and I haven't stopped watching the fallout. Not in anger, not with glee. Just observation, like watching the aftermath of a storm that ripped through a town you used to live in. Let me back up. The day after Sarah called me screaming, I finally turned my phone back on. Dozens of missed calls, voicemails, and texts. Not just from her, but from numbers I didn't recognize, numbers I hadn't seen in years, and even a few that rang local from the county we moved away from over a decade ago. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I drove 2 hours east to a small town where nobody knows me and got a post office box clean untraceable. I'm moving like someone who's learned just how easily your whole life can be weaponized against you. Then I drove back to the motel. Pete, the guy who runs the place, had saved me a stack of letters that had been slipped under my door. Not mailed, physically placed. That means someone came here looking for me. One was from Laura, written in pink ink on a notepad from her old yoga studio. Michael, I don't know what's happening. The kids are confused. Ryan isn't talking to me and I feel like everything's crumbling. Please come back and help me fix this. You're still their father. You don't get to just vanish. There were no apologies. No acknowledgement. Just panic dressed up as concern. Another letter was from Ella. Her handwriting's gotten neater since I left. Dad, I don't understand what's going on. Mom's been acting weird and yelling a lot. Max won't talk to anyone. I keep having to go to Grandma's house after school and no one tells me why. I miss you. Please come home. That one nearly broke me. But what really got me, what really told me that everything Laura had built was starting to rot, was a voicemail from Ryan's ex-wife. Didn't even know he had one. She spoke calmly, clearly like someone used to being ignored until it was too late. If you're listening to this, Michael, I just want you to know you're not crazy. Laura and Ryan have a pattern. I don't know how much she's told you or what she's told your kids, but I've seen her type before. My son's been dragged into messes like this before. Keep your head down, document everything, and don't let them paint you into a corner. That's when I started digging quietly, patiently. I had an old buddy from college, Adam, who went into family law. We drifted apart years ago, but he owed me a favor. I called him, explained only what was necessary. He told me 3 things. The moment Laura declared me missing or abandoning the family, she likely filed for emergency custody. If she claimed I was unstable or dangerous and she had even a shred of corroboration, text messages, witness statements, it could hold weight temporarily. But the moment that narrative cracked, the court would turn their eyes hard on her. So I kept waiting. And then, just like clockwork, cracks started to show. First, the kids were pulled from school for a full week. No explanation given to the administration, which raised flags. Max had been seen crying in class. Ella got into a fight with a classmate and reportedly screamed, "You're lying. My dad isn't a monster." Second, Ryan got hospitalized again. This time it was accidental. According to Laura, slipped on the stairs, but the ER nurses were suspicious. So was his brother, who showed up at the hospital and refused to let Laura back in. Third, and this is the kicker, Laura tried to file a restraining order against me. Filed it after I'd already been gone for over 3 weeks. Cited emotional instability, verbal threats, and even hinted that I was building something dangerous in the garage. That made me laugh. The garage was my workshop. I built Max's treehouse in there. I fixed up Laura's bike in there. The only dangerous thing I ever built was a poorly painted bookshelf that collapsed under its own weight, but she made it sound like I was stockpiling weapons. The judge denied it. Not enough evidence. I guess truth matters somewhere. The last straw? Sarah called again. Not screaming this time, crying. She tried to leave the kids here. She said, at Mom's house for a weekend trip. She said, but she never came back. It's been 4 days. Ella is scared. Max won't sleep unless I sit in the hallway. What the hell is she doing, Michael? I didn't respond right away because that same morning, I got a message on Signal. Unmarked. No name. Just a video. It was Laura at some kind of upscale restaurant. Champagne in hand. Sitting across from a man I did recognize, our former neighbor, Dennis. The one who moved for a job opportunity 2 years ago. In the video she's laughing. Flirting, saying things like, "I never should have settled down so young. I need a partner who matches me." Behind her, my daughter, Ella, sitting alone at a nearby table, headphones in, looking miserable. She took our kid on a date with another man and left my son with my mother, claiming she was too depressed to parent. I sent the video to Adam. His reply came in one word: leverage. That night, I made a decision. I went home, not to the house, not to her. I went to my mom's. Max was asleep. Ella wasn't. She ran to me, didn't say anything, just hugged me hard. And that's when I knew Laura wasn't unraveling. She was detonating, burning through every last bridge, every lifeline, every illusion, and she thought I'd come back to put out the fires. But I'm not the firefighter anymore. I'm the man documenting the damage because now I've started filing for full custody, for fraud, for the lies she told to family court, and with everything she's handed me. Photos, witnesses, letters, she's built the case for me brick by brick. I meet with the judge next Thursday. Something tells me the woman who threw a freedom party when the mortgage cleared is about to learn what freedom really costs. Stay tuned because I'm not running. I'm rebuilding. And this time, I'm laying the foundation in stone. Update 2. If you follow this from the beginning, you'll know I'm not a man for theatrics. But sometimes reality doesn't care what kind of man you are. Sometimes it writes the show for you, and all you have to do is show up. Thursday morning was cold, not the kind of cold that bites, just the kind that makes your hands ache. I wore my oldest jacket, the one with the frayed sleeve and the oil stain on the cuff. Not because I didn't have something nicer, but because I wanted to feel like myself. Grounded, the courthouse sat like a stone sentinel against the cloudy sky. Inside, dull lights, cold floors, the buzz of vending machines and echoes of lawyers shuffling papers. I walked in alone. No entourage. No dramatics. Laura was already dressed like grief. Black dress, hair pinned, minimal makeup, fake fragility dialed up to 11. She was flanked by a lawyer. Young, smug, expensive, and her mother who refused to meet my eyes. No sign of Ryan. No sign of our kids. We were here for the custody hearing. Not final yet. Just the preliminary round. But the stakes? Everything. The courtroom was half full. Quiet murmurs. A few curious onlookers. My sister sat behind me. Adam, my friend turned lawyer, stood beside me, organized, calm, lethal. The judge entered. Late 50s, silver hair, glasses that slid halfway down his nose. He looked over the paperwork like it was just another Thursday. Then he looked at us. Let's begin. Laura's attorney spoke first. His voice was smooth, rehearsed. He painted a picture of a husband who abandoned his family, a father who withdrew emotionally and financially, and a man who may be experiencing delusions and instability. He referenced the failed restraining order, hinted at concerning behavior, and dropped the word dangerous 5 times in 2 minutes. Laura didn't cry, but she dabbed her eyes, Oscar-worthy. Then Adam stood up and he didn't argue. He just presented. First, he submitted records showing I'd paid the mortgage in full solo. Bank statements, emails, my name on every major expense, my hours logged at work, the night shifts, the OT. We let the numbers tell that story. Then he handed over copies of the letter Laura had left at the motel, her handwriting, her words. You worked so hard to get us this house and now we don't need you anymore. We didn't comment. Just let the judge read. Then came the real blow. Adam nodded to me. I stood up, walked over, and placed a tablet on the table. On it, the video of Laura at dinner with Dennis, the old neighbor. Champagne, laughter, Ella sitting alone, ignored, headphones in. Your Honor, Adam said. We submit this not to shame Miss L, but to establish a pattern of using the children as props, as buffers, as accessories to her affairs. The judge watched the entire clip silent. Then Adam spoke again. This is not an isolated incident. We have testimony sworn of multiple occasions where Ms. L left the children unsupervised to pursue personal relationships. We have statements from school counselors concerned about Ella's emotional state, Max's teacher who reported consistent signs of distress, and we have witness accounts of Miss L attempting to file false claims of emotional abuse against Mr. M in order to secure a strategic custody advantage. He paused, then handed over the screenshots, Laura's own messages. The ones I'd photographed from the manila envelope she tried to bribe me with in the motel parking lot. The judge skimmed through them. His eyes narrowed at if he ever fights me on custody. I'll just say he scared me. That stuff works. Judges always side with the mom if you try right. He's too soft to fight dirty. That's why he's perfect. You could hear the air change in the room. Laura's lawyer asked for a recess. It was denied. The judge leaned back in his chair. Miss L, he said slowly. Can you explain these messages? Laura opened her mouth, closed it, looked at her lawyer. Your Honor, those aren't someone must have. The judge held up a hand. I've heard enough for today. He turned to me. Mr. M, your petition for temporary full custody is granted effective immediately. Miss L is to have supervised visitation only. Pending psychological evaluation and review of all submitted evidence. Silence. Laura's jaw dropped. Her mother gasped like someone had pulled a fire alarm. Me? I just nodded. The gavel hit with like a quiet exhale. As I left the courtroom, I didn't look back. Didn't need to, but my sister did. She told me Laura just crumbled. Not a tantrum, not a scream. Just that quiet kind of collapse that happens when someone finally realizes they were never as untouchable as they believed. Outside, the sun had finally pushed through the clouds. I stood on the courthouse steps, hands in my pockets, feeling the kind of peace I hadn't known in years. Ella and Max are home with me now. Our home is quiet. There are moments when Max wakes up crying and doesn't know why. Moments when Ella asks questions I don't know how to answer, but they're laughing again, eating again, sleeping again. And me, I've been rebuilding room by room. I moved Laura's things into storage, left them in her mother's name, changed the locks, set up cameras, not for fear, just for clarity. Ryan hasn't resurfaced. Dennis, the old neighbor, apparently got dumped the week after the hearing.
No, qué
And
perro.
Laura, word is she's staying at her mom's trying to salvage the narrative. Posting quotes about healing and growth that feel more like shields than truths.
Sí,
But
de
it
hecho,
doesn't
de ahí.
matter anymore because in front of a judge under oath, the story was stripped bare. No edits, no filters, just facts, and facts don't flinch.
Hay
This isn't the
varias
end.
armas que
There's still a long road ahead, but this
tienen
was the turning
referencia a
point.
otro.
The part where the villain script
otro
stopped
juego.
working, where truth stood taller than lies, and where my silence, 3 weeks of it, finally spoke loud enough to be heard. Bye bye. Update 3, 6 months later. 6 months can change everything or nothing at all. Time doesn't heal wounds so much as it gives you distance to see them clearly. The kids and I have settled into a routine that feels almost normal. The house that was once filled with Laura's performance of happiness now has actual joy in it. Not perfect, not without its ghosts, but real. Ella turned 12 last month. We had a small party in the backyard. Just her closest friends, my mom, Sarah,
Si
and
juega el
Max, who
base,
insisted on being the official photographer with my old digital camera. No social media posts. No choreographed moments. Just cake and laughter
Te
and
va
the
a
kind of mess
encontrar
that comes from
un
kids being
chingo
allowed to be
de
kids.
armas
When everyone left, Ella
bastante
sat with
útiles.
me on the porch steps, shoulder to shoulder, watching
Algunas no.
fireflies emerge in the twilight.
Son inútiles.
Dad? She said. Yeah, kiddo? I wanted to tell you something. She twisted a friendship bracelet around her wrist. I knew about Mom and Ryan before. Before that day. I nodded slowly, letting her speak. I heard them talking one night when you were working late. Mom told him that once the house was paid off, they were going to live there together and you'd have to leave. She said it would be better for all of us. The anger I expected didn't come. Just a hollow sadness for what my daughter had been carrying. I'm sorry you had to hear that, I said. I didn't tell you because. She trailed off, then found her voice again, stronger. Because she said if I did, you'd try to take us away and we'd never see her again.
Intentar
And I
platinar
was
el
scared.
juego. Me falta
Ella, you don't ever have to keep
como-
secrets to protect adults.
creo que
Not even me. She
30
nodded, leaned
pico
against my
por ciento por
shoulder.
ahí.
I know that now. As for Max, he's seeing a child therapist twice a week. Dr. Brennan, a quiet man with kind eyes who specializes in kids who've experienced family trauma. Max doesn't talk much about their sessions, but I've noticed changes. He sleeps through the night now. The nightmares have mostly stopped. He's drawing again, elaborate superhero scenes where the hero always saves everyone in the end. Last week, I found a picture tucked under my door. A crayon drawing of our family, me, Ella, Max, and a dog we don't have yet.
Ajá.
In the corner he'd written,
Pero igual no hay-
"We're okay now." I framed it. Laura's supervised visitations happen every other weekend. A court-appointed monitor sits quietly in the corner of my mom's living room while she tries to connect with kids who've seen behind the curtain. It's awkward, strained, but necessary. Ella goes through the
Vaya,
motions. Max still lights up when he sees her, which breaks and mends my heart simultaneously. After her psychological evaluation came back, the judge ordered Laura to complete 6 months of intensive therapy before even considering unsupervised visitation. The report showed patterns of narcissistic behavior, manipulation, and an unhealthy preoccupation with presenting a perfect image at the expense of authentic relationships. Clinical terms for what I'd lived with for 15 years. Ryan disappeared completely after the hospital stay. Moved to Arizona according to mutual friends. Started fresh with a wellness journey Instagram and a job selling solar panels. No mention of Laura, no acknowledgement of the wreckage. Just sun-drenched photos and captions about new beginnings. Some people get to rewrite themselves while others clean up their mess. As for Dennis, the neighbor who appeared in that damning video, he reached out last month. Awkward email, full of apologies and excuses.
Okay, maybe the
Said
grenade is
Laura had
helpful.
contacted him after I left, spinning stories about an abusive marriage and a desperate need for support. He believed her until he saw Ella sitting miserable at that restaurant, ignored while Laura flirted.
I don't
Said
want
something
this.
clicked
Why did
then,
I do
and he
this?
realized he was being used as a prop in someone else's story. Too little, too late, but at least honest. The divorce is proceeding. No reconciliation, no dramatic fights over assets.
This though.
Just paperwork and division.
Maybe
The
that
house remains mine.
brutality.
Laura's lawyer didn't even contest it after Adam showed proof that I'd made every payment, every repair, built every memory inside it
I'll start
alone while Laura
detaching
crafted
my
her
head.
escape. My job at
Always
the auto
forget
shop
this
turned
ability.
permanent. Pete, the old vet who hired me during those 3 weeks of exile, offered me partnership after I fixed a vintage Mustang that 3
he
other
doesn't like
mechanics
to
had given up
pay me.
on. Said he needed someone who could see the beauty in broken things, who
Yeah,
had the patience to
I'll take that.
rebuild. It pays less than my corporate job did, but I come home with grease under my nails and peace in my heart. Sarah visits every Sunday. Brings groceries even though I tell her not to, cooks elaborate meals that fill the house with smells that chase
Sell
away
that.
ghosts.
I like my
She's the
pants.
one who suggested I start dating again. I laughed at first, then realized she was serious.
have you been,
You deserve
man?
someone who sees
Besides,
you,
you know,
she said,
bartending.
hands covered in flour as she rolled out pasta dough in my kitchen. Someone who values what you built, not just what you provide. Maybe someday. For now, I'm learning to be a single dad, learning to trust my instincts again, learning that leaving wasn't weakness, it was the strongest thing I've ever done. Laura still posts on social media. Curated glimpses of a life that exists only in filters. Co-parenting journey and healing after betrayal hashtags that flip the script entirely. Her followers comment with heart emojis and stay strong platitudes, none the wiser.
Actually, was it like
I
being
used
a
to track her
bartender
posts
in
obsessively, looking for new lies, new attempts to rewrite our history. Now I rarely check. Her performance matters less with each passing day.
It's very
Last
hit or
night,
miss.
I sat on the back deck after the kids went to sleep. The same deck I built with my own hands 5 summers ago while Laura complained about the cost of the lumber. The night was cool, crickets singing in the darkness. I thought about that freedom party, the blue frosting, the balloons, the staged celebration of my obsolescence. They were right about one thing. Freedom did come that day. Just not the way any of us expected.
I thought
I'm rebuilding my life plank by plank, nail by nail. Not perfect, not without its creaks and groans, but solid.
Boom.
Truthful. Mine. And this time, no one can tell me I'm not needed here. This time, I know exactly what I'm worth. Final update, 1 year later. Today marks exactly 1 year since I walked into a freedom party and walked out of a life built on lies. 1 year since Laura smirked with her champagne glass raised high, announcing my redundancy as if 15 years could be so easily erased. 1 year of rebuilding, of healing, of finding strength I never knew I had. The kids are thriving now.
Ow.
Max started Little League this spring, catches everything thrown his way. His therapist says it's symbolic, this newfound ability to handle whatever comes at him. I just love watching him smile when he makes a good play, turning to make sure I saw it. Ella's entering 7th grade with a confidence I barely recognize. She cut her hair short last month, donated the long locks to a charity for kids with cancer. I don't need to look like mom's mini-me anymore, she said, studying her reflection. When Laura saw it during visitation, her smile faltered for just a second before she recovered.
I can't just
It'll grow back, she said. Ella just shrugged. I don't want it to. The final divorce decree came through 3 months ago. Clean, straightforward, with provisions that protect the kids and their future. Laura didn't contest the custody arrangement after her second psychological evaluation showed little progress. The therapist noted her continued inability to prioritize her children's emotional needs over her desire to maintain appearances. She still gets her supervised weekends, still posts carefully edited photos that suggest a different reality than the one we live. But the kids see through it now. Ella more clearly than Max, but even he understands in his 8-year-old way that some people can say words that sound right while meaning something entirely different. As for me, I've started living again, not just surviving. The auto shop partnership with Pete has flourished. We specialize in restoring vintage cars now, taking machines others have abandoned and bringing them back to life.
This is why I hate
There's a metaphor there I try not to think about too
now.
deeply. Sarah was right about dating. 6 months ago, I met Kate at a parent-teacher conference for Max. She teaches 4th grade at a different school, has a son Max's age and a quiet laugh that catches me off guard every time.
I'm not taking these.
We take things slowly, carefully, with the kids always at the center of every decision. She knows my story, has seen the scars Laura left, and doesn't try to erase them, just helps me carry them with more grace. Last weekend, Laura's mother stopped by unexpectedly. She stood on the porch, looking smaller somehow, less certain. I owe you an apology, she said, no preamble, no softening. I believed her lies. I enabled her behavior. I failed those kids, and I failed you. We talked for an hour on that porch, the same one where I once stood examining the crack above the door frame, not knowing my life was about to fracture.
Oops.
She told me Laura's father had done the same thing to her 30 years ago, staged a dramatic exit with his secretary, leaving her blindsided and broken.
That's not necessarily
Laura had been
a bad
14
thing.
then. Trauma repeats itself, she said quietly. But that's explanation, not excuse. Ryan surfaced briefly last month, a text message to Laura that she forwarded to her lawyer, who sent it to mine.
The Texas
He's getting married to someone new in Arizona, wanted
bat.
to clear the air before starting fresh. Laura's response was a restraining order. Some chapters are better left closed. Dennis, the neighbor from that damning restaurant video, moved back to town recently. We ran into each other at the hardware store. Awkward nods became stilted conversation became an honest apology over coffee. She had this way of making you feel like you were the only solution to her problems.
I wish I could say I was exaggerating when I say that.
I knew exactly what he meant.
Not.
The house feels like home again. I fixed the crack above the doorframe finally, painted the walls colors the kids chose themselves, planted a garden in the backyard that's more practical than pretty, tomatoes and peppers and herbs that we actually eat instead of ornamental shrubs for show. Every Saturday morning, the 3 of us make pancakes together, batter splattering countertops and laughter filling spaces that once held
Back when
tension.
I played this game
Last
a lot,
week, I found an old photo album in the attic while looking for Christmas
with
decorations.
my friends,
Pictures
and
of
let them
Laura and me
choose
in the
where I
early
went
days,
and what
young and
items
hopeful,
I got.
before the performance replaced the person. I didn't feel anger
I
looking
just
at them,
played this
or
way
even
too
sadness
much.
really. Just recognition of two people who no longer exist, her by choice, me by necessity. I showed some of the pictures to the kids. They studied them quietly, these glimpses of parents they barely recognize now.
I live in
Was
Texas.
Mom happy then? For real? Ella asked. I think she was, I answered honestly. But happiness wasn't enough for her. She wanted perfection, and that's something nobody can maintain.
I need to kill 3 more
Max
enemies,
pointed to a picture of me building his crib,
if I
sawdust
want
in my hair,
those
exhausted smile on my face. You look the same,
I don't think it's
he said.
happening.
And he was right. Underneath all the hurt and betrayal and rebuilding,
Aw, dude,
I'm
I
still that
fucking
man,
love
the
barbecue.
one who builds things to last, who values substance over show, who loves deeply and honestly. Laura didn't break that part of me. She
I'm
couldn't.
not a huge fan of
The Freedom
pork,
Party cake
unless
with its
it's
blue
bacon.
frosting has become something of an
But
inside joke between Sarah and me. For my birthday this year,
if we're
she brought
talking,
cupcakes with blue icing, each one topped with a little
ribs and
plastic
stuff
key.
like that. Oh,
Freedom isn't what Laura thought it was,
delicious.
she said as we laughed. It's not about escaping commitment. It's about being truthfully, completely yourself. 1 year later, that's what we've found, not the carefully curated freedom of Laura's Instagram feed, but the messy, beautiful freedom of authentic living. Max's baseball gear cluttering the hallway. Ella's art projects covering the refrigerator. My grease-stained work clothes in the laundry. Kate's books gradually appearing on my shelves. This isn't the life I thought I was building during those 15 years of mortgage payments. It's better. It's real. And this time, everyone in it is irreplaceable.